Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Good Stuff. We are recording episode 25 plus one. We just got done releasing number 25 with Bob Starkey here this past week. It's mind-boggling to me that we've reached that many still, so I appreciate all the listeners up to this point. And today we're just doing a special one where you get some time with me. And I just want to thank everybody else, too, who sent in the questions today. I've got about 8 or 9 questions here that hopefully we'll be able to get through. Don't want to keep you on here forever. So for those of you that don't hear your question today, I will definitely be responding to you. However you sent that in on the email or social media. I've enjoyed chatting with some of you as it is already. So looking forward to more of that in the future. But hey, let's just dive right in here and look forward to spending the next 15 minutes or so with you answering some questions. Our first one, Susan from Charlotte, North Carolina, down there at Flying Kite, reaching out, said she loves the show. Thank you, Susan, and was curious to know, why did you start Good Stuff, and what would you say to others who are struggling to start something? Great question, Susan. In fact, all of these are great questions, to be honest with you. There's some tough ones in here. So I think to add value and impact others through the relationships and experiences that I've had. I'm fortunate enough and blessed to know some people that I think are they're high-level achievers, and I think they have a lot to share with people, and people would benefit, from hearing their message. And I think that's happening right now and will continue to happen. So, I'm very grateful for that. And to people that are struggling to start something, with this case in point, just start. I know that might sound, you might be looking for something more profound, but I would argue that 90% of people just don't start. They don't start because they don't have a website. They don't start because they don't have all the equipment. They don't start because the odds are against them. They don't start because of the fears they might have. They don't start because people tell you that you can't do it. So deciding not to go after something for any one of those reasons is just not okay in my eyes. So I wouldn't buy into that. I wouldn't subscribe to that. Whether it's those fears, whether it's those lack of whatever, just go, just start, because I think playing it safe, you're losing by default. So I would just encourage you to go and just make adjustments along the way. You're going to screw up. You're going to make mistakes. That's okay. Embrace those and just keep falling forward and realize what your purpose is and just keep going back to that. So good start though, Susan. Kyle from Winona, I hope I pronounced that right, Minnesota. We were chatting the other day on Twitter. He asked, what is something that you've learned from one of the guests that you have implemented in your own life? Wow. And I didn't take a ton of time on these ahead of time, so I'm shooting from the hip here. So I'm going to probably leave somebody out because, man, I go through every one of these. Probably number one, to see how bad I am or what I need to improve on, and then just pen and paper, trying to pick up something from everybody. And I think everybody has brought a lot of stuff into my life that I know I've used. Bob Ritchie mentioned a book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. That comes to mind right away because I got that. He said it would rock my world, and it did. I read it within a week, and I've shared it with 2 others since then, and bought it for a couple other people too. So great book. Tim Kite's episode in general was very powerful and caused me to reflect a lot individually. But he also mentioned something in there about having a morning statement. And ironically, I just brought that up with my accountability partner the other day, and I'm working on that. Bob Starkey mentioned something through Buzz Williams about a nighttime audit. So I made a couple adjustments to that, some things that I was doing. That's really good. But man, I would just say, I think of guys like Brandon Chambers, who was on, that I didn't know beforehand. And now I'm talking to him a lot, and he's connected me to people he knows, and I'm connecting them to people I know, and we're buying each other books and sending text. And so I would say the best part out of all this is the relationships. The relationships that I have going into it, the people I've known, and the ones that I didn't. It's just been, that part's been really, really powerful for me. So that's where I would go there. Jordan, locally, what's the most difficult moment you've ever gone through as a coach, and how did you work through it? Wow. This is a tough one for me because I know what the one thing is. I would also want to add 2 other things. One, I'm still currently going through. And so I would say that, that's been a tough moment for me. I can't share a ton with her or speak to a lot of it. But I would also say anytime you start a program, which I've had the opportunity to do twice, getting people to buy in is tough. It's really, really lonely at top, especially when it's not working right away or eventually it doesn't work. People will leave your side really, really, really quick. You really find out, through these moments, I think, who's on your team. I think you're not as bad as your worst moment if you learn from it. That's what's important to me through all of this. And I don't know if you thought that maybe I would answer this question this way, but by far and away, the most difficult moment for me, Jordan, was when I lost a former player. I'll never forget being on vacation and getting that phone call that he had passed away. And it's just never fair, in my opinion, that any parent, has to deal with that first and foremost. And as a coach, you almost see these guys as your kids, as much as they don't think that or realize that when they're going through it. They're a part of you. They're a part of your family. And so that was really, really difficult. Still is difficult for me. You asked, how did I work through it? Number one, I got a great relationship with God. And number two, I got a great support system starting at home with my wife. And in fact, she still has to deal with that moment as far as me every now and again. It's not easy, and it's not something that I'll forget, but I have no problem, speaking about those. And just in general, I would encourage people that have gone through difficult moments, to do the same, and if you've got yourself a strong support system on the days that you just don't feel like it, or the days that you're breaking down, I think that's very beneficial to have in your life. So I would highly suggest that. This next one, we don't have a name, from Texas, so I don't want to give out the email here, but what's some good advice for our team who is trying to climb the ladder within our league and just can't get over the hump? So my assumption here is that you're finishing second maybe, or can't get that first place, and maybe that's a team that's keeping you from that. I would tell you this is probably going to be like the advice I gave Susan at the beginning. It might not be very profound, but just keep going. You've more than likely got a pretty good culture. And so I would just, those daily habits every single day, just continue to, as I like to say, chisel to the rock, that stone cutter hitting that rock and just never knowing when it's going to break. I think that's a really important, because it's hard, right? It's difficult when you're not seeing immediate results, and it's difficult after maybe a couple years that you're not getting over the hump like you're talking about, but just keep going. There'll be a breakthrough moment at some point. And all those kids that, were a part of that team, and all those coaches, hopefully they can be a part of it then, even when they're not around, because it's a great feeling. And so I would just encourage you to keep going, control what you can control every single day, and just feed and water that culture. Whatever you do, please don't compare yourself to others during that process, to that team, to other coaches, to other things in general. I think Will Healy said it on here in one of the episodes. Just have a great deal of conviction of doing what it is that you believe in and what's right. And as long as you continue to do that, I really firmly believe that you will break through at some point. Isaac, also locally, is asking, how do you address conflict while maintaining team culture? Yeah, so this is a good question in general, but for me, conflict, I have no problem with it. But I know there's a lot of people that do. So let me preface saying that I'm not saying that I'm great at this, and just because others aren't, they should listen to what I have to say, because I think we all have things that we're more comfortable with. And I would highly advise you, if you haven't listened to Tim Kite's episode of Good Stuff, to go there. I honestly remember this. It's right, I think like the 16, 17, 18-minute mark, he goes into this. And he talks about having difficult conversations. So I would definitely check that out. A couple things for me is just, number one, know it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And I think it needs to, in order for there to be growth and trust. So you have to be able to embrace that. I think the other thing you need to know is it's probably going to be uncomfortable. If you do not like conflict, then it's definitely going to be uncomfortable. And even I like conflict, and it's uncomfortable for me. It's tough sometimes to have those conversations, but I know it's what's best for them, and I know it's what's best for the team. I think you got to be courageous. I think you have to be mentally tough. And I think, as Tim Kite said, I loved it when he talks about difficult conversations, knowing that the discomfort is a catalyst to change something. And so that's huge. And he walked a little bit in the whole fear of not being accepted. And that's a big thing. And I think that's why people struggle, because sometimes you just want to please the people that you're with. But it's definitely needed, and it's definitely going to happen. So I would just, embrace that and just be transparent, just be vulnerable when you're having those situations. Hey, I don't like having this conversation, but I know it's needed in order for us to grow. I know it's needed in order for this team to be at its best. I know it's needed for, fill in the blank. I think that's really important when you're having those. And then hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier. Brian from, let's start with Damon from Cincinnati. I almost skipped over here. What is a common mistake leaders make? Oh, man. I go home and tell my boys every day how I make so many mistakes throughout the course of the day. I'm going to just talk from, my standpoint. One that I make is trying to make somebody that they're not. I did this a lot as a coach. I think we're all wired individually a certain way. And I'll get into that here in a little bit with some of these struggles that I have as a leader. But I think that I was definitely trying to have an impact. I was definitely trying to add value. I definitely wanted what was best for them. But I took them down the path that I preferred they would go and what was ultimately best for me. And I think God has a plan for each and every one of you. And so if you're a leader and you have people that you're leading, just get down here with them, or even get below them and push them up and serve them, and just put them to where they're supposed to be and get out of the way. And don't try to really impact that so that it is more beneficial to you. So that's where I would go with that one, Damon. Brian from Buffalo, can you name 4 to 5 strengths and 4 to 5 weaknesses that you have and how you handle each? Well, the weaknesses one is long. I think first and foremost, I have struggles just like you do. I have fears. I'm a big guy that has fear of failure. That's probably why at times it came out as a coach and I created that environment. But I deal with that. Ego and selfishness, that creeps into me a lot. I think, and that could be a whole nother episode, but that was embedded into me early in my life. A lot of early success and being a head coach at 25 and thinking I knew everything and knew nothing, which there's an apology right now to all the players that I had to coach those first couple of years. Sorry, fellas. But I think that's something I battle. And I think that I struggle with people who aren't wired like me. And so if they're not getting results or maybe not mentally tough, I lack empathy for that. And so that's something that, I just got to stand back and just kind of realize that. I think it's really important. This is a good question, probably one you'd even ask in a job interview or whatnot. I don't know why you want to know mine, but nonetheless, I think it is important to talk about them openly and identify what they are. Strength-wise, I'm a process guy. I do a pretty good job of ignoring the noise. And I'm very resilient, especially in adversity, dealing with adversity. I think I have a track record with that. And I do believe everything is a mindset. So just, mental toughness and approaching certain situations, but probably just being reflective. I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before. I know I speak about it, but asking 3 questions of people around you, starting at home and then start with the people you work with. What do I need to start doing? What can I stop doing? And what do I need to keep doing? I think those are really, really good. And, there's going to be some self-reflection you'll have to do and some questions some answers you won't like from those questions, some constructive criticism, but I'm open to all those things. But I think it's important that regardless of strengths or weaknesses, you're constantly assessing just, what are you here for? What's your purpose? What's your why? And, are you living that out every single day? You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days, but just keep going. Just keep going and be resilient. Chad from Canton, you ask others about their routines and habits. I would be curious to know some of yours. Yeah, for sure. I don't think I'm doing anything different than maybe others are doing. I think it's just trying to really hone in on what I know is effective for me and making the best usage of my time. I've become a morning guy. I try to get up before everybody else. I read the Bible. I do the Bible app YouVersion plans with people. I like to sit in silence, literally going in a room, shutting my TV, phone, everything off, and just disconnecting for sometimes 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. Slowing down. It's something I just really have to work on. It just doesn't come naturally to me. Morning statement, from Tim Kite. I'm working on that right now. I think that's really, really good and powerful to start your morning off. And I love reflecting at night, almost scoring myself. I think you have to measure your results. How did the day go? Be honest with yourself, good or bad, once again. And, the wilt list, Kevin Eastman mentioned that on here. I was already doing that. what I learned today. I think that's good. The nighttime audit, adding some of those questions to my life have been really good here in the last week or so. But I think ultimately, once again, I think it's important to say you have to find out what works best for you. Meditating, I even like to do that from time to time. I'm more consistent now than I've ever been, but there's definitely an inconsistency that I have to fight there. But I think you just need to make the time, period. I can't get with the excuse of I don't have time. I think if it's important to you, I subscribe that you make the time for it. I think, you take the time to brush your teeth, you take the time to shower, you take the time to eat, et cetera, et cetera. And you would probably say, well, Kevin, all those are necessary. And I would agree. I don't disagree with that, but I would push back and tell you that all these things that can be a part of your routine and your daily habits are also necessary. If you want to be a self-serving leader and lift others up and make them grow, then I think you have to continually, grow yourself. You have to take care of yourself. You have to do these things. I'm a voracious reader. I love reading. I love growing. I love learning. I just love the concept of never arriving, but it doesn't mean I can't try. And so, I just think you have to find the time to do this. As I would always say to the players, find a way. That's different. And one other thing I'll add in here, sorry for the longer answer, Chad, but the roundtables. If anybody ever wants to learn more about roundtables, it's something that I was certified in last summer. We do here every Monday morning at 9 o'clock. It is a game changer for you individually and for your team and culture. It is absolutely phenomenal. And I think if you spend some time in that, you would definitely see that. I know I even try to do them at home with my boys. They're really, really good, the values that they incorporate into your life. So, well, hey, let's wrap up. I got one more here. And like I said, the others that reached out to me, I will definitely be touching base with you. Thanks again for taking the time. Aaron from Indiana, what's a characteristic you see as being important as a leader? Man, there's a lot. I mean, that self-serving and accountability are up there. But, man, I would tell you this. I just have a great appreciation and respect for all of you, knowing that everyone has a story and everyone has a struggle. That's something that I've learned on Sundays with where I'm at, and then every day living that out and just appreciating that. I think it's something that I'm not here to judge or condemn. I'm here to listen. I'm here to, just want to find out what it is I can do to help, and I think that should be the mindset of a lot of us. I think that is a serving mindset, and it's not my position to necessarily have an opinion about your story up to this point, or to not respect your struggle. I think that is extremely, extremely important in my role as a leader. And I definitely subscribe also to the fact that you can't do life alone. Number one, if you're married, that's where it starts. And then number two, having that system around you. I have that accountability partner who I can share any and everything with, and I don't have to worry about what he's going to say in return to me or how he feels about me. He will not change. If anything, it's going to strengthen us. And it's reciprocal on that end. And just having people in your life that you can constantly go to and talk to about everything, because you can't do life alone. So that would be the one characteristic that I would tell you I think is really, really important as a leader. So, hey, I really appreciate you spending time with us. I appreciate all the support. I know I've said it on here and posted a video, but I genuinely mean that. It's been awesome doing these interviews and getting that out to others and pouring it into them. And it's just been awesome, like I said to you early on here, building these relationships. So appreciate everything that you're doing. Continue to stay in touch with me. goodstuffkevin@gmail.com. You can always send me emails on there. You can have a conversation with me via Twitter @Coach Billy, Bille. Good Stuff on the Facebook page, and my own personal page, Kevin Billy, on LinkedIn. So looking forward to all those conversations, and looking forward to episode 26, which will be out next week. You're going to love it. Greg Tonagel from Indiana Wesleyan. Very, very powerful episode. He's got a lot of good stuff and insight that I know you'll enjoy. So till next time, good stuff.